Welcome back to designing a Selkie Herald. In the last video, I explored a few options for the overall design and eventually settled on a few things I knew I wanted to take further. In this speed paint, you'll see me refining and ironing out some of the finer details such as colour and functionality. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of my initial sketch, but basically I was just going over the main shapes and adjusting the style of my first concepts to suit a more game-like aesthetic. A few things that changed right off the bat are the eyes, hair and scarf. Looking at pictures of seals and sea lions, I realised that I wanted the herald to have their dark, wide-eyed stare, so I pushed the size and shape of the iris quite a bit from the original sketch. I also made sure to accentuate her eyebrows in order to really get that seal feeling. The hair change was also driven by some of my research, but part of the decision was also made because I felt that the neatly cut fringe felt a bit modern and didn't really fit the vibe I was hoping for with the herald. As for the hood, I chose to simplify the number of layers and compensate with hanging details instead. I also made the potentially controversial decision to add little ears and break up the silhouette. The seal experts of the world will certainly be outraged by this and are probably frantically typing long messages about the differences between a seal and a sea lion. Believe me, I did consider skipping the ears, but at the end of the day, the character designer inside of me prioritized visual interest over complete accuracy. As a result, we have a sea lion Selkie, rather than the more traditional seal. Consider it a nod towards the sea life of my home country. Some details that I brought in from my other designs include the kelp detailing along the stocking, shoe design and tassels. The kelp in particular I really wanted to include, as I think it's a nice way to create ties between the character and the environment of her animal counterpart. I always enjoy little design elements like that and try to include them whenever possible. Sometimes they feel forced and are better left in the ideas phase, but in this case I think it works very nicely. Colour has always been a bit of a struggle for me. I find it doesn't come as naturally to me as it does some people, but thumbnails help as well as taking inspiration from photography and film. In this case, I was looking for colour schemes that could be found in the ocean environments, like kelp forests and fishing villages. On the whole, I'm quite biased towards any design with a red and blue colour scheme in it, which is why, even though that design really does appeal to me, I ended up choosing the blue scheme. My goal with this character was to explore things that are a little different from what I already have in my portfolio, so it made sense to break away from my comfort zone. I did break up the blues and teals with gold elements in the end. I think that if I had left it completely analogous, I would have lost my focal points and only her face would have been interesting to focus on. It's perhaps not my most careful gold rendering, but I think it communicates what it needs to. Most of my rendering attention went into the fabric textures along the hem, as it was important to me that the three fabrics look interesting when they overlap. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the design. While I might go back and adjust some colours here and there, nothing leaps out at me immediately, and I think all the elements that I drew inspiration from come through in the design in a balanced way. This feels like a good place to leave her while I take some time to prioritise other deadlines and some commissions. Hopefully, it won't be too long until I can jump back into the world building around the Selkie Herald. Until then, thank you very much for sticking around until the end, and goodbye.